Dauntless Open Beta begins, Tencent buys up Grinding Gear Games, all that and more. I'm Zach Sharps, and this is Free to Play Weekly. First up in the news this week, Jagex announced that RuneScape Classic, the first ever version of RuneScape released in 2001, will soon be closing its doors. The decision was made due to Jagex's dev tools no longer being compatible with RS Classic, and one can assume that population-wise, it wasn't doing well enough to warrant making them work. For those of you who still want to play RuneScape Classic, not to be confused with old school RuneScape, you'll have until August 6th to play it, then it will be laid to rest. Are you a PC gamer who's still waiting for Monster Hunter World or want a new free-to-play action RPG to play? Well, if you can beat the Q boss, Phoenix Labs' new free-to-play Monster Hunter-inspired action RPG Dauntless has hit open beta. In Dauntless, you become a slayer whose sole goal is to hunt down big monsters called behemoths. By hunting them, you collect their parts in order to create new gear, weapons, and more. Despite launch week issues, I found Dauntless to be a pretty fun game, but it does lack polish. For example, there's not a mouse sensitivity slider in the game, some tooltips lack detail, and its gameplay systems can use some more depth. Have you defeated the Q boss? Leave me a comment down below. Despite a huge mess on their hands, the company that totally isn't, let me repeat, totally isn't owned by Columbus Nova, aka Daybreak Game Company, saw their Battle Royale title H1Z1 explode in popularity this week. The free-to-play game hit open beta on the PS4, and Daybreak stated that there were over 200,000 people online at once, requiring the company to spin up additional servers to deal with the load. Considering PUBG is exclusive to Xbox One and PC, it's not that surprising that H1Z1 has garnered this much success on PS4, since it does offer a different gameplay experience compared to Fortnite. However, the question is, can it retain that player base, and that's something we'll just have to wait and see. A day after I recorded last week's episode of the show, we learned that Tencent, the mega corporation in China that seems to own almost everything, has bought up another company. This time around, it's the beloved free-to-play developer Grinding Gear Games, developers of Path of Exile. According to the New Zealand Herald, Tencent now owns approximately 80% of Grinding Gear Games. Despite buying full control over the company, CEO Chris Wilson stated on Reddit that Grinding Gear is still in control and nothing will change. Despite these platitudes by Wilson, if Tencent wanted to at any time, they could take control of the company or force a creative direction of their choice. That said, if we consider other games in their umbrella, that scenario is most likely not to occur, which is great news for Path of Exile fans. It does beg a question though, so it's time for the question of the week. Last week on the show, I asked if you've been to a convention. A user by the name of Some Main Dude stated the following: the most recent game convention I went to was GameStart 2017 held in Singapore. Just like any other game convention, they featured games old and new. My buddies and I were mostly there for a fighting tournament known as the Southeast Asia Majors, where talented individuals from around the world come together to duke it out. My favorite part of the whole convention was trying out some great SNES games that they had at a retro booth that made me wonder why I never had one of these, because I grew up mostly around PlayStation consoles. Thanks for all your responses, and if you wish for your comment to be possibly featured on next week's show, make sure to leave a comment down below. This week's question is, does Tencent buying Grinding Gear Games change your opinion about the company? Why or why not? Last up in the news this week, if you own an Xbox One, you might be happy to hear that Nexon's free-to-play MOBA, Hyper Universe, will be debuting on the console this summer. As for an exact date, August 7th was specified for the release date, and prior to release, the Ultimate Hypers pack is available to purchase and will set you back $20 USD, but it does include all 39 current Hypers as well as any future ones. Since the game hasn't done so hot on Steam, maybe this will breathe new life into the game. Speaking of things that are hot, be sure to always check out the giveaways page. Yes, head on over to mmobomb.com, check out that giveaways page, bookmark the page, and check it daily to ensure you never miss one. As for myself, signing out until next week's show, my name is Zach Sharps, and I'll catch you guys next time.